I would like to say hello, everyone. I would like you to welcome on today's session. It's a sixth webinar in our New Trends in Project Management conference. It's the last one before summer, but I hope you will enjoy. Today, I will share in a minute with you the agenda of our meeting and presentation. Just give me a sec. And I hope you can see my screen. Yes.
Yes,
Great.
hello.
Yes. So let's start with the short agenda for today. So of course, as I said, welcome everyone. Just after the agenda, I will share with all of you some organizational matters. We need some ground rules and other stuff which we would like you to ask for during the presentation. Then within a few minutes, I will present you who we are as a project management institute and what we usually do. Then we would like to ask you to take all of us the picture with all of the participants. And then we will start the presentation, today's presentation. After the presentation, after short closing, we would like to invite you for a short break, and then we will do a networking session. Our whole webinar today will end up around 20:30, and I hope that you will really enjoy, even if the weather is really nice in Gdańsk at least. So I hope that you will spend this time and you will be very happy with this. Okay, so let's go to the rules. So we of course would like to ask you to show yourself and switch your camera on. Please stay on mute. There will be some particular moments and specific moments during the presentation when we will just ask you to unmute. We would like to ask you about the feedback, because we are focused on improvements and we would like to be better and better. So after the whole presentation, we would like to ask you about your some suggestions, what we should change, and maybe also share with us what we should for sure still continue. And of course, at the end, there will be also possibility to ask questions during the presentation. Of course, if you have any questions, just please use the chat. And during the presentation, guys will ask you to unmute and will ask you some particular questions. So there will be breaks in the presentation to give you the chance ask them about what is your concern or what you would like to know more. So that's the rules. And now I would like also to share with you that we were honored, and our New Trends in Project Management conference was also honored by our mayor of the city of Gdańsk. PMI. What is a PMI? PMI is a Project Management Institute. Generally, we can say it's a group of people who are fascinating and would like to develop themselves in project management. We have, as an organization in Poland, we have 11 chapters. So 11 chapters which are providing a lot of workshops, a lot of different possibilities how you can develop in project management related topics. And of course, our conference is also one of them. As a Project Management Institute Gdańsk branch, we also organize such workshops and seminars. We have our conference. We are organizing charity events, and these charity events are connected to one of our most I would say, interesting project, which is called English Camp. During this camps, we are learning children what is the project management, and of course, these projects are organized twice a year. We are also organizing the English camp in summer, but you can see that a kind of summary of our last edition. It was winter camp, and the whole project was organized by 17 volunteers and sponsors. We had 20 participants, and it took us only 8 weeks of preparations. And we would like to ask you if such activities are also close to your heart. I would like to encourage you to donate. And now I will ask Judita to share on chat the link how you can help us to organize also the summer edition. Then maybe, as I said before we start the presentation, I hope that it's a great moment to take our photo. So please, everyone, if I can ask you to switch on camera, and I will ask you, Judita, to take some screenshots and have all of us on the picture.
But I think so. Justyna, you need to stop sharing your screen.
Okay, I will try to do this. Okay. Okay. Oh, no such option. But I will come back to just. No, it's not that one also. Okay. No.
Okay.
Do we have everyone? Please show yourself.
Hey, good to see you guys.
Kamila, Katarzyna, Marcin, Justyna, please.
Magda, Marcin.
We are working from home. Do not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't have this such a lovely flower. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, Judita, do you have it? Okay, great. Then I think that we can just start the presentation. I will not share anymore because I think that we will just switch on to Guy's presentation in a minute. But today topic of our webinar is grand scale psychological manipulation of the crowd. So Piotr, Lech, please feel free to share your presentation. The floor is yours.
Okay, just confirm that you see it. Because we already start sharing the screen.
Yes, very good.
Okay, so you're able to see. So welcome, guys. Great to be here with you, and it's a pleasure to be invited for the new trends in the project management. My name is Lech, and I'm together with Piotr. We're going to talk about the grand scale psychological manipulation of the crowd. Sounds a little bit scary, but we are going to use the example from Scalable framework. I'm going to talk about a very important event. Dean, creator of SAFE, mentioned during many trainings that it's a heart of SAFE. So it's will be about the PA planning.
Cool. And when we thought about the title and what to share, you know that there's a lot of research in terms of people that are motivated are probably good employees. We would like our team members to have high morale, stick with us longer, perform well, be happy, especially in IT. We do all the banana fruits and stuff like this just to make them happy, because happy people deliver more results. But it is a little too obvious You can't just go to people and say, I'm the head of this department, you should be motivated. Well, of course, you'd like us to be motivated, but you have to be a little more subtle than this. And then when we've experienced some of those meetings, it felt like this is it. This is the grand scale manipulation of the crowd. And I hope that you will also experience it with us today. This is how to motivate people without even telling them that you're doing it, without them knowing that the purpose of what we do is to keep them happy, to keep them motivated. And since we've seen it many times, we thought, okay, let's just share it with someone. And then you guys approached us asking, okay, do you want to share something with PMI? Sure, we do. And this is big, in my opinion. So let's just have a look.
Yeah, and also just to introduce ourselves. So my name is Lech Babula, and I'm working in Nordea as a release train engineer. So I'm responsible for a program, that we are delivering solutions within the bank. But apart from being the release train engineer, I'm also SPC, Safe Program Consultant, delivering the safe training, supporting transformations, starting new programs, making changes in our ways of working, and working closely, Piotr, with you, on many activities. So how about you?
Yeah, so some of you actually remember me from my PMI days, and that was probably 10 years ago. I was an active project manager, and I was doing those strategic initiatives. I have a lot of friendship with English Camp project, and I took part in, I think, 6 or 7 of those. So that was my career. And then I fell in love with agile ways of working. So I actually gave up those big strategic events, billions of euros in budgets and hundreds of consultants worldwide. And I took a role as a Scrum Master. That was really new to me because I had only 7 people in my Scrum team. And this was really nicely fitting into the career development that I was after. And since I loved it, I grew into the role of a release train engineer like Lech. Now, the last 3 years, I'm more like an agile coach. So I jump from one place to the other. We both work at Nordea. We have a lot of good implementations, like 600 Scrum teams, and they need help. So this is my recent assignments, to help teams and then also to help business leaders, people who are thinking about agile transformation, but will it pay off? Does it make sense? So this is basically me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we both love, what do we love? Cycling?
Music. Guitars,
and music.
Travels.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we also would like to work with each other. That's why we are here. And okay, so stop about us. Just one item. It was mentioned that about the questions, put the questions in the chat. There will be one break in our presentation. We're going to have a stop, and then there will be some questions in the end. But we are talking now about the PA planning.
I have one more thing, because Piotr, you're awesome. You still have the camera on. I don't want you to be the only one. Could everyone have cameras on across the whole event? It's easier for us if we keep on talking to just names. It's difficult to say, does it make sense? Do you agree, nodding in agreement, or does it not at all make sense? And also we will be making a few jokes. Hey, Gosha. So if you make a joke and there is no feedback, you have no idea if the joke was funny. So you actually need to see people making jokes. So good to have you guys.
We are not manipulating you. We are just asking politely because it will be easier for us. Good to remark that. We started talking about this peer planning, and what is peer planning?
So let's start with a short definition. I don't know how many of you read the Lazy Project Manager or Lazy Project Manager and the Project from Hell from Peter Taylor. He starts the whole book with this. I'm not quoting it word to word, but he starts with something like, there is this secret gathering, people in suits, men and women, travel together to meet each other for 2 days to talk about things that nobody understands except them. They will be using secret words and codes. And he was actually referring to project managers going to a project conference, maybe organized by PMI. And that was a really mysterious event. Nobody knows what's happening there unless you're a project manager, and it totally makes sense. This is something similar. So every quarter, more or less every 8 to 12 weeks, we will bring people together for 2 days, face to face, everyone should attend in person. And this presentation is based on our experiences pre-COVID. We do have slides at the end explaining how do we do it now, because a lot of it will be referring to face-to-face, and the last year was definitely not face-to-face. It was home office and lockdown. So we'll talk about it later. But the idea behind it is bring people together, give them room and give them those 2 days, and do some magic, do something smart, so they would actually leave motivated without even knowing that you're doing it to them. This attending in person also includes things like, if you can't travel, and we have team members in India who they cannot be here in Europe every quarter, and we will not be allowed to travel there, then you go for second best. So if you can't be here face to face, so I can actually shake your hand, then make it a video feed like we're doing now. Make it a phone call. I had a product owner who broke his leg 2 days before the event, and he was stuck in Helsinki. He couldn't travel, but we made sure that the team had the product owner with them for 2 days, and it was online, webcams, separate room, phone calls. So he was involved, and they knew that he is part of the event, even if he cannot be there face to face. But the beauty of the event happens when majority is face to face in the same room. So the big question is, why do we meet? Why bring people together every 12 weeks?
Good one. You know what? As event is called PA planning, so the main purpose is, of course, can be perceived as we do the planning. And of course, it's important to do this, but why we are gathering these people and what we are going to get over there. So there is a goal to finish with a plan, but there is but the plan and the program board and the risk and dependencies is an output, there, but we more focus on the purpose. And the purpose here is to make sure we have the people who are working with each other, who are planning with each other, who build relationships, and they are strengthen those relationships, and those relationships are built on trust. Because after those 2 intensive days, they need to deliver that plan that they committed to. So we are talking here about motivation, to boost these motivations, to build that motivations, to create a space for people to collaborate. And we are talking about the energy. And the interesting part is that when we are delivering the training, Piotr, I think people are asking what is important, and the answer is like energy. And someone is like, what are you talking about? It's not about the Gantt chart and then the objectives. I said, yes, it's important to have, but the most important, you need to have this energy within the people that's going to deliver, that's going to support each other, and are going to make sure that support is provided there. So we have the obvious goal to have a plan for 3 months. On the other hand, we have somehow a hidden agenda to boost people, to boost that energy and energize them for the next incoming quarter. When we were talking about this, you mentioned about this virtual setup and face-to-face setup. People sometimes said to me like, Lech, we want those 2 days only together, and the rest during those 3 months there's no need to travel. Those 2 days is enough, if it's done properly, to energize, to know people, to commit to that plan, and that's enough, and we are able to continue in the virtual setup. So it's very, very important to understand this one. But what do people need to hear? You have all those people travel, for to be here for 2 days, morning flights, being in a hotel. So what they need to hear?
Yeah, so one thing that to me is essential is to explain why does it make sense to spend all this money. So you need to have someone in the room, and to me, that if the company is like 100 people, 200 people, that would be the company owner, the CEO. If the organization is larger, that would be a head of a business unit, I don't know, a regional manager of something, head of a product division. Think about something who's really high in the management structures. Usually that would also be the person holding the budget. So we would like to have the person face to face for 2 days, the person that is paying for it. And that's not obvious. And it usually, for me as a coach, requires a bit of an explanation, because this is a senior executive, and now I'm asking them to join us, and I don't really explain what they will be doing. They don't have invitations to join meetings, but I want them to be with us for 2 days to explain why are we here, to be there for my teams, and then to be there on a reoccurring basis. So it's not just one-off, okay, I will travel and meet those teams. I would actually ask the person to join us every time we meet. So every 12, every 10, every 8 weeks, whatever is our official cadence, I want my senior executives to be with my teams, explaining why does it still make sense to spend all of this money to pay off all of those salaries. Let's say you have 100 people, that's quite a substantial budget for just a quarter of work. Why does it make sense? And this person should be there face to face, ready to explain, not just sending an email, thank you for doing this PA planning, I'm with you. That's not the magic. I'm with you will not work. So we're trying to bring the person in, and I have seen people joining and being amazed with what was happening during the next 2 days. They didn't expect it, we didn't expect it, the teams didn't expect it. It was amazing. So let's see, how does it begin? How do we do this?
So of course, so you mentioned about that we have this senior level executives, we have C-level people there. So it's good to use their presence during the session. As we mentioned, we try to answer those questions why we are here and what we are going to do. So there's also one question about we need to answer, you know, is it doable? Are we going to deliver? What's the purpose of this? So at the morning when people are there, we have the presentations, and the presentation are from three people. Three people. One is a business owner, so the person who is paying, who is making a decisions, who is able to support you immediately to remove the impediments. And this person is sharing the business vision. So why we're here as a company, what product we are delivering, how, what customer needs we are willing to address when going to deliver those requirements. So sharing that longer perspective, bigger perspective. But then based on this longer perspective, we want to focus on the next quarter. So it means that we want to have someone, and this person is product manager, to share 10, 20 features, requirements, bigger requirements that we should deliver or we are expecting to deliver in the next 8 to 12 weeks. So we have those two people on stage to explain the business vision and the business context and what we're planning to deliver. But also we have a person from technology, an architect or lead developer or someone who is going to explain us that apart from delivering this beauty software, we are delivering the reliable software that is stable with a good performance, with the stability. So we have the proper solution that we will be also proud of. And those three people should work with each other, because let's imagine two scenarios. One scenario, you have those three people that are willing to talk a lot. All the people are at the morning, they had a nice breakfast, they're in the room, and then they're listening presentations for 3 hours. This kind of situation can kill all the energy, good energy that you have. 3 hours listening to the presentation. So the good tip is make it short, and it's your role as an agile coach or a TE to make sure that business owner, a product manager, and architects know how to do this. Yesterday, I started the PA planning, so those presentations took no more than 15 minutes, you know, so this was a short one. And we said, this is the page, this is, you are able to connect, and everyone knows what to deliver there. So we need to make sure that those presentations also boost the energy. People are bored usually using this standard presentation and template that companies having. Just have like a non-standard slide, use some of the different graphics. So there's some work to be involved, but then again, this opportunity to boost the energy. So there was a presentation, people was on stage, people were listening, there were some questions. What's going to happen next?
I remember I was on one of your PA plannings, and there was this product manager, and he was showing only dinosaurs or something
Dinosaurs,
like that.
yes.
He had those pictures and like,
Yeah.
it was so emotional, but the only pictures he was showing was a big dinosaur. But then he had a very good story behind it, and it was emotional. It triggered everyone in the room like, yeah, let's do this. And that's what we're after.
Yeah, and you know what was the dinosaur for? Because we were migrating, the dinosaur was for the big migration, to migrate old legacy solution that should die to the modern solution. That's why we called it dinosaur. And everyone was talking about the dinosaur. Everyone forget about those details, but we know we are delivering dinosaur. And it was easy to understand what we are doing here. But okay, there was an introduction. So what's next?
Yeah, the next step is kind of shocking, especially if you do it the first time, because this is like, I don't know, what do we say in a slide? 10:30. It's day one, 10:30. We've barely started. And then the next point in the agenda is freedom, team breakout session. The teams are doing whatever they think is useful. Of course, they just got a list of top priority features, and they will have this assignment to break them down into smaller user stories and to plan iterations, but no one is telling them how to do it, where to start, what sequence, when to have lunch, and it's purely self-organized. And this is something that usually triggers a lot of leaders. They would go to PA planning, and then they would come back to us as coaches, and they would say, these people are out of control. Everyone is talking to everyone. There is absolutely no plan for this PA planning. And I couldn't get hold of some people, and someone was in the room, someone was outside of the room, and some people were discussing at the coffee stand. Some people went outside all of a sudden, and they had a dialogue with architects outside and Sopot on the beach, and then they come back with conclusions. It's out of control, but that's also how you make it meaningful without giving details. And here we would like to actually have an exercise with you guys. I don't know.
Sorry, so
is everyone able to unmute?
Yes.
okay, so please unmute yourself, everyone.
So this is your time. Everyone, please unmute.
Please unmute. We need all the audience to be unmuted.
Okay. Hey, sound of birds. That's nice. So basically, the exercise is, for those of you who haven't been to PA planning, this is how it would sound like. And for the next 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I would like you to think about this morning. When you got up until you got to work. Sometimes a short distance because the desk is next to your bed, but think about the activities that you took between getting up and getting to work, and just tell us about it. But I want you all to keep on talking for those 30 minutes. You can choose whatever language.
20
so
seconds.
It can be English, it can be Polish, it can be Chinese, German, I don't care. It's just to hear you talk for 20 seconds. So everyone ready? Thumbs up. Let's do it. This is how PA planning would sound like. 3, 2, 1.
So today I got up. Actually, I have holidays, so I have to stay in bed for a long time for the day.
Take a bath. It's just a 5-minute road. When I reach out, I have to take the elevator
Thank you very much. So if you are in PA planning, it's okay to mute yourself now. If you are in PA planning, this is more or less what it would sound like. Some people refer to it to a sound of bees. If you're in the room and the room is buzzing, then you know that the teams are doing a great job. There is a lot of conversations, and we're actually talking tens, if not hundreds, conversations every 10, 20 minutes. People finding each other and like, hey, Lech, we need to talk. And then they have a discussion. And the people that you're looking after, they're actually in the room. They shouldn't be difficult to find. So all of those discussions are not scheduled in Outlook. I don't need to agree with Gosia Kusik, like when is the first slot I can have a chat with you? And then usually it's 2 weeks from now, unless you have a really empty calendar. And then you actually have those conversations all at once. Scary thing for a manager, people who are paying, they usually require a bit of babysitting to explain why does it make sense? Why is it a beautiful thing to hear this chaotic conversation? But somewhere at the end, it awfully pays off. This is an amazing booster of energy that we're not telling people how to talk. They know to whom to talk, and they know where to find the people because they are in the same room. So they just self-organize almost for the whole day. So that was awesome, but is that it? Is this everything that we do day one?
Yeah, we do. There is a freedom on day one, and the teams are working in the groups. And I remember one of the executives came to me during the PA planning, and he said, Lech, it's a pure chaos. And I said, yeah, it is. And I said, how are you feeling with this? And he said, you know what? I am a little bit, afraid that it's not going to happen. And I said, you need to trust people, and you need to just bear with us and going to see first results. And there is an opportunity to show those results, because at the end of day one, we are going to have a draft plan review. So during this session, when team were working really, really hard, having a lot of interactions, they're going to present the outputs. So what are the outputs of this PA, of this planning? So it's a draft plan review. So they're the draft objectives, of course. So they're showing those objectives, so what each of the team is planning to deliver. But apart from this one, they're also showing their velocity and load. So velocity means how much they are able to deliver, velocity/capacity, and the load, so how much they are taking here. And this is a very important measure, and you observing and others are observing if teams are not overcommitting, because our goal here is to have a realistic plan rather than being too ambitious. It's good to be ambitious, but also good to be also realistic. And it's the first time you're able to spot it on. You remember that situation that we had, like we started, I think it was a second or third PI, and majority of the team have 100 utilization, or like velocity versus load was like 1-to-1. And we said, are you crazy? But then the answer was like, are you crazy asking this question? I said, yeah, but you know what? It's a lot of unknown for you. You're new to this situation. So do you need to rethink maybe? So it's the opportunity to raise a hand and just to question with a goodwill. It's not about that you are saying that you should change something, just to ask open questions to invoke thinking there. So we have velocity versus load. We have draft PI objectives, but also this opportunity for people to share their risk and dependencies. So we are not working in isolation. We're able to raise the risk on the team level that team are able to handle, and we are able to raise also the risk on the program level when we need more support here. And that's, everyone is listening. So 100 people in the room together with senior stakeholders, with technical people, are able to hear that. Maybe there's some complex risk, technical risk, but we are sharing, and there is no hidden risk there. Also, we're talking about dependencies because it's very important due to the fact that on the first day, teams are mainly focused on their own plans as a team. That's why we have a second day, and we're going to talk about this one. So once again, velocity versus load, PA objectives, and also risk and dependencies. And also after the very intensive day, maybe it's a good time to have a dinner, and eat something.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, it is. Dinner makes sense. And I don't know how many of you read the book from Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. This is a practical implementation of it. So the agile teams go for a dinner and the leaders stay behind. And there is a concept there, because we will have a meeting with leaders, with the business owner, with some of the chief scrum masters, product owners, people that are setting priorities for our teams. And we'll just have a short chat to review what we've just learned, because our teams just gave us feedback. Sometimes they are saying, this is easy, everything is fine. And then the shortest meeting that I have been into was like 5 minutes. The question is, have we learned anything new? And the answer is, no, we haven't. Okay, let's go for the dinner. And we're joining our teams. But sometimes the teams are providing feedback that is somewhat destructive to the business plans. You start thinking, is this really doable? Or the teams are bluntly saying, this ain't gonna happen. This is too difficult, too big. We have too many unknowns. We have a supplier that is known for being delayed or poor quality. And they come back with this feedback, not after 3 months when the delivery is expected and we fail, but they come back with this feedback after 1 day of planning, shooting all of those risks at us, the leaders. And now it's our time to respond. So we don't get to eat until we help our teams. And helping could be reprioritizing, outscoping something, redoing the prioritization on the business side, helping our teams to eliminate some of the risks, making crazy phone calls in the middle of the evening to our other friends that can make decisions with us, and we actually approve it with them. So we don't get to eat until we have a solution for our teams. And the longest meeting that I have been with leaders, that was like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. So the dinner was almost cold when we got there. But we actually had some new decisions. We had some solutions for our teams. And this is how leaders support teams rather than just send expectations and milestones. We actually in this together. If these teams will fail, we will fail with them. If we can make them successful, we will succeed. So it totally makes sense for us to pass on the dinner and take some decision-making workshop. So this is happening with leaders at the end of day 1. But what about the teams? What do they do?
You know, teams are having fun then. But just to add to what you said, it's also good perception, you know, and also that showing you as a leader that you care. So you allow people to have fun, and then also to just energize and meet with each other when you are working there. But the purpose of this 2 days event is also to integrate people. So people are having fun. You need to think about how to use this time when you are together. Maybe go for a dinner, maybe you have a city game, maybe have a boat trip, maybe karaoke or sitting on the beach with a beer. It's opportunity for people to unite and build this tribal unity. So they are not a program, not a project. They're a group of people who know each other. And there is a local legends. Someone lost a voice, for example, because of singing during a night. Someone, you know, was having, for example, a birthday, and we sang a song for that person, you know, and this becoming now a team on every PA planning. Or someone did a crazy dance, and everyone was dancing, you know, on every, you know, PA planning too. So it's becoming local legends that last, and you are able to, you know, just to use that energy again, because you are boosting this energy there. So of course, events should end up, and it's good to have and it's good to go to bed. So let's see what's going to happen during day 2, but also it's good to check, is there any questions in the chat? So Justina and Asha, if you're able to help us with this one, is there any questions so far?
Not exactly, but I would say that I have a few questions, you know, because I have just finished my PA planning.
Okay,
It was a very extremely long one, I would say, as we set up a new team and we have to reorganize a little bit. So I am just after the 7 days of PA planning. Is it really? It was a real change, but everything
how many arts there are in a solution and how the budget grows for that one particular event.
We have a slide for this one. So just bear with us, I think 5 or 6 slides, and you will learn that. We have information about costs. We have information also about the virtual setup.
Okay, one more. If you have an extra question to the next slides, we'll just continue with the presentation because it makes sense.
I was just thinking, because for me, many of the things you are speaking about, it's quite familiar, because I'm also working safe. But maybe I was thinking that maybe it's a good opportunity just to say a few words what the PI is standing for. Just maybe for these people who are not working on the daily basis in safe.
Yeah, we actually didn't want to introduce the whole framework because it's a 3-day training, and of course, all of
yeah, for sure.
join us. But PI is a period of those few sprints. We call it program increments. So we meet every 12 weeks because this is how far we want to plan with our teams. And then we will see each other again and again and again. It's like a sprint, but only longer. So it will be 5, maybe 6 sprints. And then I will see you again in the same room, and we will continue to plan the next program increment. And it will be just a routine, the same way we do Scrum, only bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, let's continue.
Let's
okay,
continue.
Good questions.
So we were sleeping and all answering the questions, and now we're moving to the day number 2. So what's happening in the morning then?
Yeah, so one thing you have to consider is this neurology, and I'm not an expert. I'm more into IT project management and agile than brain science. But there is this fact that people need to go to sleep, right? So regardless of how much fun you have at the end of day 1, we will go to bed and we will take rest. And the body needs rest, but the brain does not. The brain never sleeps. Everything that happened during day 1, everything that impressed us during day 1, everything that was shocking, puzzling, emotional, important, will try to find its way to our memory. And the brain gets to decide. If something is interesting, those neurons will strengthen and we will actually remember it the next day. If something is, okay, it happened, but it's not worth remembering, those neurons will actually disappear during the night. So you will have no clue it happened the next day. But now you have 100 brains at your disposal. That's huge computing power. If you think about number of thoughts that these people are having during the night, and then they will wake up the next day, and they will have this aha moment. I need to find Justina, we need to talk. Or I need to talk to an architect. There is also this new attitude. So you will also experience some new flow. Brain gets more creative. We'll come back to that in the breakout session. So basically you welcome everyone in the same room, second day. And the biggest question is, has anything changed? We had those 3 presentations. Lech was describing the visionary statement from the business owner, the priorities for the next 6 weeks, 6 sprints, and then the architects, the solution. If in the evening, in this management meeting, we changed priorities, then someone should go on stage and announce it. So this is how we welcome teams. And if you think about it, it's just so now we're out scoping it. But what really happens is, you're telling your team members, we listened to you, we paid attention during the draft plan review, we skipped on the dinner because we wanted to help you, and here is how we can help. And those are leaders helping teams to succeed. So very strong message. And if you think about the psychology behind it and how motivating it is, very strong message to open second day, right? So this is how we start the second day. And what about the teams? Do they get another day of freedom?
Why not? Why not? We proved on the first day that teams are able to work in an efficient way, even if it looks like a chaos. So people are again working with each other. You are able to hear that sound of bees, and it's changing because the sound is even more intensive, because apart from working together on the day 1, they had opportunity also to talk with each other. So you are able to hear more people laughing, and also people are becoming more courageous when discussing with the others, because now I had a pint with this C-level manager, or I was talking with this head of the business unit that we were able to deliver. So let's bring John to our group and have a discussion about something and ask him, because I know John already. It's changing the perspective. And what the team are focusing, they're focusing on the replanning, because they learn something on the day 1, at the end of the day 1, and they're focusing now more on the program level and dependencies and resolving all those dependencies. So you're able to hear more connections, see the more connections between teams, more close collaboration, different people in different setup, testers with all the teams talking with each other, developers from different teams talking with each other, different mixture, talking about the release planning and all other stuff, because we want to finalize our plans. And also those day 1 and the integration events created this tribal unity, as I mentioned, that people are willing to help each other. You're able to see that everyone is acting as a servant leader there. So teams are working intensively, and how do we know that we are building the right stuff and we are going to have the proper objectives?
Yeah, that's another magical thing. Remember when I started, I said that we have this business executive, an important person in the room, and we actually expect them to stick with us. So it's a second day, and this person will visit every team. Every team will prepare something that is called PI objective. So just bullet points. This is what you get from us. And now see what's happening. We have developers, testers, the agile team talking to a senior business executive on what they plan to deliver. And now the business executive can explain, oh, this is super important. And they are actually putting a number next to those bullet points. Not going into details what those numbers stand for. The business person is explaining to the team, I love this one. This is what I've been waiting for. And like Swedbank is doing it and Nordea doesn't have it. So let's do it this PI. Let's do it during the next 10 weeks. I love the idea. And this is something I could actually wait a little longer. So if you guys have a crisis, this is something I'm willing to give up on that objective, on that bullet point. And then the techies are also explaining how difficult it is. Sometimes the business owner says, I desperately need this. And then the team says, well, that's brilliant, but it's difficult. We haven't done this before. This is why we struggle. Look at us. We are so few, or we have this supplier. We have those challenges. I don't even have a laptop. And then the business person goes in, they are exposed to those comments. Think about the typical project structures that we run. How many proxy leaders you have between the developer doing the code and the person who is paying? Usually you have a team lead, even if it's a Scrum team, then you have a chief Scrum Master, then you have someone who is maintaining IT department, IT personnel, and those comments get escalated, but they also get filtered. They don't go one-to-one to the business person because it can't be that important. They need to just get the executive summary because they are executives, right? And now this executive stands in front of a flip chart, having this fruitful conversation with people doing the work and experiencing how easy or difficult, how important or not important it is. This has never happened before. And this is the feedback that we're getting from business executives. They have never experienced anything close to this, having one-on-one with the team. It's like Gemba walks and any parallel you take from Lean or Toyota production system. This is it. This is happening in real life without any proxy, without any filtering. And the trust is built, the motivation is there, and also a bit of kind of reality check, because it's amazing to have business plans, but if you can't do it with your teams and they are telling you this is too much, well, then it's your time to act. Now you know, you can't be surprised at the end. You can't play, hey, I had a deadline, so now I'm shocked. You're not, you've been there. You know it's not doable. So now it's your move. So very good discussions. And what's next? How do we present this whole thing?
Yeah, because we were working, very intensively. Now will be like a day and a half. And we had a draft presentation on day one. Now it's time for the final presentation. So what's the difference between the draft and the final presentation? In the final, you're presenting your final PI objectives. So something that you are planning to achieve. And you already had an opportunity to talk with business owners about the business value that they're going to bring. You mentioned about the important things, but also those discussions are usually helping answer the question why when something is not important. I've been in a situation when the business owner said to one objective 0, and the team was like stoned. Why it's 0? It's important for us. And I said, okay, guys, just have a talk and just to look from business perspective and the team perspective. And there was a dialogue. And then business owner finally realized that it's really important to have that one and deliver, because it will, if it's not delivered, then we will not going to be compliant. So that's the beauty of this one. So now after those discussions, we are doing the presentation and we're presenting the PA objectives. And there are 2 types of PA objectives. One is those committed objectives. So as a team, we are willing to deliver and we are promised to deliver them here. And we know that we having the people, resources, the support, and we are able to deliver them in particular sprints, in particular program increment. But there's another set of objectives, and there's also very interesting to build, to have them and to build transparency. There are uncommitted objectives. So uncommitted objectives are those objectives that teams are saying, we are going to work on them. We're going to allocate our time. So this work is not going to happen in the meantime or in the over hours. No, we're going to allocate, but we are not sure if we are going to deliver. We understand the importance of this delivery, but we need to know, we are not sure, or there are too many unknowns, or this is new technology that we are delivering. And that's great that also they're bringing, because if you see, like, you know, majority of objectives are committed and some of them are uncommitted, that's at a good balance. But if it's opposite, maybe it's worth to react and make some adjustments and even do the replanning, you know, in that kind of situation there. But the also important part that those objectives is not something is set in stone, because this is objectives that we're willing to deliver. So we are not talking now that this particular feature will be delivered in this sprint. Of course, the team doing this planning, but it's more for us to make sure we're able to summarize what business is going to get in incoming 8 to 12 weeks. And also when doing the presentation done usually by the product owner, we ask for acceptance from the business owner. So there is a question, are you happy with this? Are you happy with this plan? If yes, let's move on. But if not, what's next then? And a part of the objectives, we also need to talk about the risk, and we also need to talk about dependencies and make sure it's known. And also during the final presentation, usually we're talking about dependencies that is resolved or handshake. So I had opportunity to talk with Piotr already and said, Piotr, could you please deliver this feature in the sprint one? Are you going to deliver? Sure, Lech. Sure, yes, or that one, or saying, let's handshake. Yes, that's super. Yeah, so it's different one, different energy. So we are also talking about those committed and resolved dependencies. But doesn't it look a little too beautiful? You know, it's like
it's like a moment of euphoria, because imagine you have 10 teams and each one is presenting those bullet points. This is what you get from us. It's like, whoa, so many things. And it's 10 weeks from now. This is not like a plan for the next 2 years. All of this should be done during the next 10 weeks because we will see each other on the next event, right? Amazing feeling. And then we flip the coin. Then we go into, but so the plan is awesome, but we had some risks. Those were brought up by the teams during day 1, during day 2. Hopefully they got some attention during those 2 days. So many of them are already addressed. And what I really like about the approach to risk here is that we're not registering them just to have it in the log. This is more like, we will not leave the room until I will find an owner. And the teams are bringing the risks, which is a little more on leadership side to say, I will do something about it. It's not okay to leave you guys with this risk and then proceed with the plan and fail. And at the end, people will say, well, I told you so. We had a risk for this. But that's not what we're after. We're actually after team bringing a risk and one of the leaders raising their hand saying, this one's on me. I will actually support you. I will do something. I will make a phone call. I will take decisions. I will lead workshops. I will do something actively so you don't have to deal with this problem. And people are not magicians. Sometimes we will fail to address all the risks, but at least you get the support. You get this feeling we're not only getting expectations, we're actually getting support. So this is a short sequel into risks. And is there any more magic in PA planning?
I think there is. There is a very important moment during PA planning is the confidence voting. So after sharing our plans and after addressing all the risk, there is a moment that we need to check how confident we are in our plan. Because now, after we're going to finish our planning, there will be 10 weeks of hard work of 100 people. So if we are not confident in this plan, why to start? So then we use this rule fist of 5, you know, from 1 to 5 to check the confidence. And the confidence voting is done on the 2 levels. First level is on the team level. So how each of the team is confident in delivering their PI objectives. And the second level is when we are checking our confidence on the program level. And you can imagine, you know, that people standing shoulder to shoulder and raising their hands and giving their scores. And you are able to treat all the confidence voting as a safety net. Because you can imagine that there's 100 people and majority of them are raising, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5, and there's one person in the corner raising 1. What you do with this one? I remember when I was first my PA planning and was the new RT, I was scared. What I should do, we're almost at the end, and there is this guy standing in the corner and raising 1. Why are you doing this one? But then I internally convinced myself, I need to ask that questions. Could you please let us know why your confidence voting is 1? What we missed here? And this guy brought up one item that we need to remember when doing this integration to the credit payment system. We need to about the compliance rules and other stuff and the security. And we said, thank you very much that we are bringing. Yes, we forgot about what we are going to do this. So there was a short break for 15 minutes to address this. So it's a safety net and also building opportunity for people to raise their hand and bring the items to the audience. Then also it's a motivation booster, because if we are standing shoulder to shoulder and raising the hand with 5, you can able to feel that energy. But we're building that energy for 2 days, and they stay with the people. So what you do with this energy then? It's quite sounds dangerous, then Piotr.
Yes, and this is also a skillful manipulation of the crowd, because if you have too much energy in the room, you actually have to do something about it. And there are at least 2 ways. One thing is to have this slow retrospective where people say thank yous and the energy goes a little lower. So when they go home, they will remember this event as opening, this great happiness, and then a closeout. The other easy way is, if you have too much energy in the room, just do something crazy, and people will remember. Doing some crazy things usually is worth remembering. So this is like the YMCA dance we had some. Yes. Sword fighting, we had some haka, people screaming, at each other. You can do something smart, and that will also become a new legend. But think about this closeout. You actually want to manage the energy level as well. So this is what we would call an epilogue. And then what do we have at the end?
Yes, that's a tricky one, because we were talking about that we have a plan. We should have a plan, and we have a plan. We have a committed plan. So it's more important, because having a committed plan, it's something that people believe in this plan, that they are going to deliver. And also we have an integrated group of people. So energized people that trust each other, that build relationship, and that are going to support. I remember people just laughing during PA planning about what happened during PI. And there was a different energy. One item that one of the product owners said to me after a few PIs, she said, like, when you start doing those PIs, there is no conflict between people. So there are debates, there are courageous conversation, and people are just open, and there's sometimes a hot debate, but there is no personal conflict, because we build that group of people that support each other, that are able to overcome challenges and the issues that we are facing. So now we are going to answer, Sylvia, your questions, because we are talking now about 2 days, 100 people in the hotel, flying from different cities and the countries. How much does it cost, Piotr? We did a calculation about this one, yes?
Yes, we actually did. And this is a question that I often get as a coach. So you want it to be face-to-face. That means people have to travel. And prior to COVID, that was still a question of cost. And if you calculate it, we had team members from across Europe flying into Sopot, staying overnight. We had a dinner for them and catering during the day. We had booked 2 big conference rooms. Overall, that was 1% of my budget. So it could be equal to a cost of 1 day, maybe 1.5 of days of your salaries of everyone involved. And when I calculated it, I was actually shocked, because when you get an invoice from Sheraton Sopot, it's not a small amount. But if you compare it to something, if you compare it to how much do I spend for 100 people, majority of them skillful IT personnel, and how much do they earn, this Sheraton invoice is peanuts. And it creates this psychological manipulation of the crowd that I'm after. So another way to explain it, if you have to sell PA planning, is if the PA planning cost, the fact that you do it face-to-face rather than everyone is joining remotely, if it is more or less equal to a cost of a single day of work, if we do it face-to-face, and by having those conversations, I can speed up the delivery by 1 day, then we call it even, right? Then it totally makes sense. If I can speed it up by more than 1 day, then we're already the winner, right? It was worth it. And if you think about the number of dependencies, the number of unrevealed questions that you have within an initiative, those get to be delayed. And sometimes a small question triggers an avalanche of consequences. And we're not talking 1 day. This is weeks and sometimes months of delays. So if I can prevent it, if I can just have people in one room for 2 days and prevent something ugly from happening, it's worth it. So I didn't find it super easy to sell PA planning face-to-face, but it's not unheard of. And the teams are actually waiting for COVID to be over to meet each other face-to-face. Even the ones in India, some of them were allowed to join us for 1-2 PA plannings in a row, then they had to go back. It's a matter of cost, but it's totally worth it. If you do the math, saying no would be a strange thing, because you're increasing the risk immensely, and you're only saving this one invoice from Sheraton support. You can do it in the office, you can do it without fancy dinner. I don't know, you can save on many things, but don't save on plane tickets. Don't save on the face-to-face fact. But what can we do if it's not face-to-face? So the last year was not face-to-face.
Yeah.
Let's admit it. We're not that crazy. Everyone was locked down and we had to stay at home. So what's the recipe for remote PA planning?
First of all, it's doable. So you're able to do in the virtual setup. You need to make sure there are a few tips. First of all, when we look into agenda that SAFE is proposing for face-to-face, it's 2 days. But for the virtual setup, it's not 2 days. Based on the experience from many programs that we were running or just we are supporting, it's usually 3 or even 4 days. It's due to the fact that you are not able to repeat this number of interactions that happening in the room, in the virtual context. So first of all, perhaps maybe that's why it's 7 days in your case, Justyna. That's also important that you need to create additional sessions. We talk about dependencies. In the face-to-face setup, you just go in the corner and able to talk with someone, or just grab someone and have an ad hoc meeting. In the virtual setup, it's more challenging. So then you need to set up a call, ask someone if it's available, and so on and so on. So it's more hard, but it's doable. So one item, it's longer duration, more sync meetings. But what you're able to create is a transparency. So for example, you can create a page with all the links to all the team breakout room sessions that everyone able to join. So if I'm from team A, I know what team B is doing at the moment. So we were like totally transparent in the virtual setup, who is where and what's the topic we are discussing. So it's like an open agenda for everyone, like a conference, virtual conference that you're able to join any virtual meetings you want. Of course, you need to think, as I mentioned, about the additional setup, meetings and setup. So about the meetings, it's dependency management, maybe additional draft plan review, maybe meeting with the vendors. Think about the time zones. We want people to be active. And if you have people in India and Europe, there is a difference, maybe not so big, but if you're starting at 8, there is already 2 o'clock, as I remember. So, and when you finish at 6 p.m., it's already midnight, in India. So, think about those people too, and respect the people and the culture there. Think about energizers, and we are talking about the energy. It's doable. So, Piotr, you shared, I think you've been dancing, we have the videos, video clips from the PA planning where people dancing at home YMCA. It's very easy to dance, even you are sitting, just I think CA or something like this. I just facilitate that one, or do some exercises, or do Kahoot games to know each other. I remember we were talking about the food that people, or the places that people want to go. So create even the integration event in the evening, like the beer, virtual beer. If you want to join and talk about cars, this is the link. If you want to talk about plans, and gardening. This is the link, you know. So this is something you are able to create. Be creative and ask others. And there is a lot of ideas how to make this happen. So yes, experiment also. Audio and video is important. So the proper setup, if you have the microphone, the proper sound, the video is important. Use the video. Just put a camera in your room, in another room. Even the people are in different locations, like 5 locations, put those cameras in and make sure we are able to see each other there. So it's doable, but we prefer face-to-face definitely. And when it's COVID and we just cannot wait to have the face-to-face. And the people who've been on the face-to-face PA planning, they say we want face-to-face planning, PA planning back. So what else we are able to do to boost an energy, you know, in terms of the teams?
Yeah, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. This is something that I'm getting from many leaders when they join PA planning. Sometimes this is the first time they are actually exposed to the crazy agile team names that we have. I don't know how is it in your setups, if you have agile teams. When I was running projects, the project would have a name, and usually it was called with the thing that we deliver. So that was kind of obvious, this project is doing this and we are people involved. When you go to the agile teams, they have the craziest name ever. All of those examples on the slide are the agile teams that I'm dealing with. And then you're a leader and you're trying to figure out, Jesus, which one is the database team? Because you want to talk about databases, or you want to talk about WebLogic, or you want to talk about something else, a component. And they will never have a proper name. And this is something that also, if you think it's a psychological manipulation of the crowd, if we're motivating people, a team is not what they do. A team is the work they do, the skills they have, the knowledge, and the people involved, the names, people. And the component they deliver, the component they develop, or the database they are working on is just a small fraction of what the team stands for. It's not the skills, the knowledge, the people, it's just a component. And quite often we will invite teams to help each other. So suddenly a database team is doing something else than just databases only. And having a name that is universal brings this to another level of motivation. So whenever you come across leaders saying this will not work, this will be too confusing, the reporting will be impossible, we will never know where to go, challenge this. Because I have Coolphone team, and every leader after 2, maybe 3 events is fully aware of what Coolphone is able to deliver. And the same with Tarantulas and No Hello. Yeah, we just know it, and it's not that difficult, and people can't comprehend. They consider this will blow up my whole unit if they have those crazy names. It won't. Just relax. So just a small hint: if you want to have extra motivation, allow a bit of fun, allow a bit of craziness. It should pay off.
And also you were able to ask the business owner on the stage, say at the beginning, say you need to praise, you know, Coolphone, XXX, Warriors, Beans, and other stuff. So they are also recognized. It's also create fun, you know, there. So it's about fun and the energy.
Awesome. Closing out, if you like what you hear, I invite you also to my podcast, a small commercial here. So together with a friend of mine, Michał Toczek, we're talking about Agile. That one is held in Polish. So if you're a foreigner, sorry for that. We're zooming in on Polish audience at the moment. But we have those chats. You can find us on all of those streaming platforms, starting with Spotify. Quite interesting discussions also on LinkedIn every time we publish something. So join us if you like those topics.
Yeah, and also you are able to join us, you know, on the LinkedIn and, you know, on the other platforms. Easy to find us. Yeah, and now it's time for questions.
Okay, thank you, guys. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question? I don't see them on the chat, so please unmute and you are free to ask. Do you have any questions?
I would like to ask the question about the teams. Are these teams constant, or they may change or somehow divide or whatever?
So
it's supposed to be.
in SAFe, we just have a typical Scrum setup, and in Scrum, we value stable teams. So there was a research made, I think it was 4 years ago. I saw some graphs that the performance of a stable team increases during the first year. It continues to increase during the second year. It continues to increase during the third year. And then it more or less flattens out after 4 years of collaboration. So keeping the team stable is priceless. This is also why we don't have projects which have a start and end date. We would like to have stable teams where the work is coming during those events. I will have an engine running, I will have stable teams, and I will see each other every 10 weeks, and work will come to us. We will not go to where the work is, where the new initiative is. I will protect stable teams, and I will just try to find more work for those teams. Sometimes that means that they will be doing different things. They will have to spend a sprint or two learning new platforms or learning new components because they haven't done this before. But I would still value the stable team and ask them to stretch on skills than to fire people, hire people, or destroy a team and send everyone to a new initiative. That's really destructive in terms of motivation. So we tend to protect teams.
Yeah, and also SAFe is saying it's long lasting. So it allows people to work. Sometimes there's a situation I've been in on the PA planning when Scrum Masters and product owners came and they said, you know, guys, that we are not having the work for 2 DBAs in our team in this PI, you know, and we are able to support other teams. So I said, guys, and just to have a look how it's look like, how we are able to distribute the work, what's the options there. So they had a discussion, and finally they realized that maybe those 2 developers are going to help a new team. But very important part, do not make this decision without talking with those people that you are planning to move. So we brought up the whole 2 teams to have an open discussion, a dialogue, that that's a situation, what will be good for them. And they said, yeah, that's going to be fine. And for those people moving for one PI to one team to onboard and help was win-win situation. So again, think about, but the short answer will be keep it stable.
All right, I would like to ask a question. Do the teams works in Scrum or Scrum setup, or is it SAFe? How do you call it? Like for the team itself?
So it is.
Yeah, I can take it this one. So the teams are working in Scrum because SAFe is also as a scale, you know, the Scale Agile framework is based on the Lean, on Agile, on Scrum and DevOps. So it means that, you know, the teams are working in Scrums, so having the sprint planning and all the events, but we have also similar events on the program level. So we are also able to synchronize and you know, they have a retrospective on the program level, and we have a review of the backlog and refinement. So short answer, yes, they're working in Scrum, but sometimes their teams also working in Kanban.
That was a nice touch from Scaled Agile. They do recognize that sometimes I have 5 teams working in sprints. They do software development. It's obvious for them. They will have backlogs, product owners, stories, and stuff like this. But sometimes I have a team that is supporting other teams. They support environments. They support deployments. And they are more reactive. They do incidents and fix bugs together with Agile teams. And they could work in Kanban. Then they go to this event where we plan the next quarter, and they start to adopt this language of first sprint, second sprint, third sprint. Kanban teams don't even have sprints, but they are just being nice to other teams, and they say, okay, you'll get it by the end of second sprint. That to me means like July. I don't have sprint.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Cool. Anything else?
Any more questions?
I actually
maybe just
could
one
have
from
one more.
Yes, please.
You just showed us that there are only 3 presentations each day. Is it possible that there are any others presentation in SAFe over those days? Like I don't know, the teams shows what they did over the last PI or something like that.
So that happens before. So the planning is just an opening of the new period of 10-12 weeks. There are ceremonies on how to close it, how to summarize it, how to learn from it, how to get better. This is not part of this grand scale manipulation of the crowd. You could argue this is equally important. So we're only showing an opening of the program increment. We haven't discussed how to close it, how to show everything that we've completed. SAFE, of course, has it. If you're interested, we can throw another presentation and talk about it. We're more than happy. Of course,
Okay.
yeah, this will sound awkward, but we can do it with PMI, but we also have SAFE meetups. So if you'd like to join us there, probably one or the other topic will be talking about demos. And
Oh, cool. Where could I find it? Those meetups? Is it?
I think still based on a call, and she's one of the organizer there, so maybe she will be to put.
but if you just Google SAFE Meetup Poland, you'll
Or
find
Tri-City,
events.
I think. No.
Now it's
All
closed.
right, great, thank you.
And also just to add to this one about some other presentation, for example, there could be presentation about the release plans. So apart from the backlog with the features and the architecture, we are able to talk about the release and events that are going to happen. You are able to have a presentation about the new UI that you're introducing, like a short one, but it's something that should be short, precise, and focus on the incoming those 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Maybe risk one more. If it is probably possible, I'm not sure if highly, but it is possible that the output, the plan will not be ready after the 2 days. What then?
Yeah, so I've been in a situation when the confidence voting was low. So there was a plan, not really precise. The confidence voting was low. So we decided if it's worth to start a new PI, having not good plan and not good confidence, and we said no. So we need to continue our planning. So I think we did added, I think 2 or 3 hours for the planning. So when you are facilitating and when you're building an agenda, make sure that there's some buffers, like 1-2 hours for additional planning. Or I remember also, Piotr, was a situation that in the large solution.
Yeah, I can comment on that.
Yes, you spent more additional days even, for
that was the scariest vote of confidence that I took part. It was at the end of second day, and the confidence was like everyone was voting too. They're like, we had to admit we have absolutely no plan, and it's not possible to achieve the business goals. Those are too aggressive. We don't have the skills. There's too much to ask of us. And then you have plane tickets, like people have to fly back home and we don't have a plan. So the big question was like, do we cancel the flights and spend the weekend in Sopot, or what do we do now? And everyone, of course, went home, but we didn't start the next PI. We didn't start the first sprint. We gave everyone an extra week, everyone, including business owner and the business priorities, because what they wanted was impossible. So now they needed to come up with some other priorities, discuss it with other business units, come back to our teams saying, so how about this? Is this doable? And then the teams had to do the whole planning remotely. And after a week, the next Friday, there was a vote of confidence that was high. But that was like taking it to the extreme, admitting that it's not like we need to refine the plan or maybe take one item out. It was a nightmare. We've spent 2 days talking about something that was literally impossible. I liked it. I was a coach at that point in time. So I did like the message. If it is impossible, let's not do it. Let's just find something that is possible and then build our plans around good plan about things that are doable. It was a painful lesson for business. Like when you keep on pushing, the teams will try to do it. And at the end, they will break. You will ask the vote of confidence and it will be too low.
And it requires a lot of courage and a space. But that's happening and you need to be prepared for that one.
So I see one more question, but Tomasz, if you can wait a little bit, because in our proposal today, there is also networking session when we ask the guys to stay with us, and it will be still a great opportunity to ask more questions, and I have also some of them still. So I would really ask you about it. So if you just let me for a few minutes to close our session, and then we will have a short break and we will come back for the networking. Okay, so
okay, super. Thanks a lot. I can stop sharing. You can of course find us on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect, then go ahead.
Yeah, if you're going to find Piotr, then you're able to find me. If you find me, I'm going to find Piotr. No, so no worries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
So our first question, first of all, as I said at the beginning, we really would like to improve. So we would like to ask you for your feedback. I see that you have also a link on the chat right now. So please share with us your feedback about the session. As I said, we are coming back after the summer, so we have a lot of time to make some actions. Of course, our webinar is also as a part of Project Management Institute activity. So you can you have also possibility to claim your PDUs after the webinar. You can see right now the code on the screen, but I hope that also it will be provided on the chat. So, or you can also take a print screen. You can always also ask us and come back to us if you are if you forget about it. And then I would like also to just to let you know that of course our session is the last one before summer, but just after in 7th of September we will come back to you and we will continue almost till the end of the year. So I would like you to invite today to come back and stay with us in the second part of the year. And I hope that you enjoyed this one and we will meet in September all together. Yeah. One small announcement also, as a PMI, we are also have a kind of magazine, which is also in digital version. So we can also find it on our PMI websites on Strefa PMI. I would like advise a lot of interesting articles, a lot of tips and tricks, and also good practices. So please take your time, and maybe you will find also something interesting for you here.